I know a lot of you guys are curious as to which new piece of chaos equipment is the best in Survivor.io. So today we're going to go over a tier list created by the community. Let's start with weapons. We have Void Power in the S tier, followed by the Light Chaser, Sword of Disorder, and the Kunai in the B tier. The Baseball Bat in the C tier, and in the D tier, we have the Katana, Shotgun, and Revolver. And down here, we have all the Astral Forge effects. So the Sword of Disorder is the only Chaos weapon here, and it has 3 skills, all skill damage plus 15%. Shackle. Enemies slain by Sword of Disorder will have their souls shackled. The more souls shackled, the higher the skill damage, max 30%. Soul dissipates when hit. At a red grade, we have Soul Blast. Only reduce 100 souls and whole screen takes high damage when souls dissipate. Damage is proportionate to number of souls. When it comes to weapons, people like the Void Power more because it's easier to use. You can essentially hide inside of the black holes and negate damage. You won't take any damage. The Light Chaser doesn't do that, but it can deflect bullets and other projectiles. The Sword of Disorder is essentially built for Ender's Echo. And then we have all the normal weapons. Next, we have necklaces. In the S tier, we have the Eternal Necklace. In the A tier, we have the Metal Neck Guard and Stone of Cleaving. In the B tier, we have the Trendy Charm and Void Waker Emblem. In the C tier, Army Nameplate. In the D tier, Bone, Pendant, and Emerald Pendant. Stone of Cleaving creates a Mirage each time damage is taken. Mirages can't attack, but emit a slow aura on the spot. Up to 1 Mirage can exist at any time. Created Mirage, +1. Slow aura ranged, double. Deceleration Halo, as they call it, or some might even call it Declaration Halo. Next, we have the red skill. Mirages also siphon enemy HP from slowed enemies to restore heroes' HP. Here are the Astral Forge effects. Exempt, gain 1.5% damage reduction for each Mirage spawned, max 30%. And then we have multi-model, skill cooldown reduced by 1.5% for each Mirage spawned, max 30%. As you see, people like the Eternal Necklace a little bit more. The higher the target's HP, the more damage dealt to it. Deals additional damage to enemies with full HP. All passive effects plus 15% in battle. And then it has great Astral Forge effects. Nova, first learned passive skill can be evolved. And tapped potential passive effect increased to 20%. No glove, no love. We have Eternal Gloves in the S tier, followed by Void Waker Handguards and Fingerless Gloves in the A tier. In the B tier, the Chaos Gauntlet Gloves, the newest piece of Chaos equipment in the game, followed by Leather Gloves, Army Gloves, and in the C tier, we have Shiny Wrist Guards. In the D tier, Protective Gloves. So Chaos Gauntlet, Judgment. When you defeat an enemy, it will either be revived or another enemy will be defeated. Ineffective on elites and bosses. Revivals don't affect monster drops. Final Penance. The enemy you revived will be defeated again and will definitely trigger Deathly Judgment. There's a red skill down here. It says Pardon. If the enemy you revived isn't defeated within 1 second, it will be exiled and exit battle. See you later. Restoring a little bit of your HP. That's kind of like lifesteal. Exile doesn't affect this monster's drops. Here are the Astral Forge effects. Double the healing and Purgatory. When Revival Judgment is triggered, 50% chance to exile 1 other monster. They're okay. They seem like they might be good when you're trying to kill farm. They might be a replacement to the Shiny Wrist Guards, but I don't see them replacing Eternal Gloves. What makes Eternal Gloves stand out are these skills right here. Attacks have 10% chance to crit, and crit rate plus 10%, and crit damage plus 100%. In addition, the Astral Forge effects are great. Ruthless restores 1% HP when monster is defeated with critical hit. So you can essentially just rapidly heal, especially if you're using someone like King. Next, we have boots, and we have the Void Waker Treads in the S tier, followed by Eternal Boots in the A tier, Light Runners in the B tier, Shoes of Confusion in the C tier, Army Boots, Prosthetic Legs in the C tier as well, followed by Layered Snowshoes and High Boots in the D tier. So Shoes of Confusion are the latest, newest shoes in Survivor.io, and man, are they confusing. Like other S-grade boots, we have a base movement speed increase of 2. And here are the skills. Lost changes joystick directions every 15 seconds, which is gnarly. Your controls are going to go inverted. Healing effects plus 50% when in the correct direction, and negative 50% damage taken when in the opposite direction. So when you are inverted, you will have a negative 50% damage reduction boost. But again, your controls are going to go inverted every 15 seconds, which is insane. Down here, we have a red skill called Bounce Back. Your controls ignore the opposite direction, but you don't gain movement speed bonuses any longer. You are immune to death when in the opposite direction, explosion, and you gain plus 50% damage. This skill alone is actually nuts, but you're not going to become any faster. However, you will become immune to death, and you will gain a plus 50% damage increase. Here are the Astral Forge effects. Gain invincibility for 2 seconds when switching to the correct direction, and area explosion is triggered when switching to the opposite direction. Explosions insta-kill minions. I actually think these shoes might be pretty good if you're AFKing, or maybe even if you're kill farming, but I would rather have red Void Waker treads, baby. We have the Apex Species skill, plus 10% movement speed for every 500 enemies killed. We have Predator, not just the movie, increases proportionate damage against enemies with lower movement speed. And then check out these Astral Forge effects. When Apex Species is active, plus 20% max HP up to 100%. And lethal metabolism. Move faster with lower HP. So when you move faster, your damage is going to increase, and that can max out at 50%. Light runners are ranked above Shoes of Confusion. Why? Probably because of this skill right here. Damage plus 20% for 3 seconds after killing an enemy. I actually like that skill. I like that skill a lot. I used this on my free-to-play account. Next, we have belts, and check this out. We have a brand new Chaos belt in the S tier, the Twisting Belt, followed by Eternal, Stylish, Leather Belt, Void Waker Sash, Army Belt, Waist Sensor, and Broad Waist Guard. So we finally have an S tier belt in Survivor.io, and it's the newest Chaos belt, the Twisting Belt. Just like with other S grade belts, we have a healing effect plus 20%. And then we have these skills, Energy Flux. All skills will deal between 80% and 150% damage. When this happens, you're going to see a little meter on the top of your screen, and you will have a damage increase between 80 and 150%. It's going to fluctuate. At red, Directional Deviation. Energy Flux's minimum damage is increased to 90%, while its max damage is increased to 160. Here are the Astral Forge effects. Minimum damage, negative 10%. Maximum damage, plus 20%. And then check this out. Flux max damage plus 20%. So I'm guessing that it should fluctuate between 80% and 200% damage. That is actually insane. That is a lot. We do not have any other belts that will do this. If there's one piece of Chaos equipment that you should get, it is the Twisting Belt. Last, we have armor, and in the S tier, we have the Eternal Suit and Void Waker Windbreaker. In the A tier, Armor of Quietus, Full Metal Suit, and in the C tier, Traveler's Jacket, Carapace. In the D tier, Army Uniform and Protective Suit. I do want to mention that I did make this army uniform specifically for this infographic. They asked me if I knew the Astral Forge effects for it, so I just made it, and I regret it. So the Eternal Suit is obviously in the S tier because it can revive you twice. And after revival, movement speed and attack plus 15%. And a lot of players like the Void Waker Windbreaker, so it's also in the S tier here as well. You can essentially get extended lives out of it, as it can rapidly heal you once you are close to death. Okay, here we go. I can see the Armor of Quietus has a green skill, Death Word. The game doesn't end when the hero dies. The hero enters soul state for 10 seconds, during which the hero is invincible and unable to restore HP. The game is won if the final boss is defeated during the time. So when we die, the game doesn't end. We're essentially going to go into limbo before we go to heaven. We'll essentially have a 10-second window where we are a ghost and we're invincible. We can't restore HP, but we can attack the final boss, and if we defeat them, we can stay alive. At an excellent grade, plus 30% attack when in soul state. Duration is also increased to 20 seconds. And at a red grade, defeated monsters in soul state increases its duration. Can't exceed max duration though. Here are the Astral Forge effects. Grudging Soul, soul state attack increased to plus 50%. And then Lingering Soul, soul state max duration plus 10%. So the Armor of Quietus, should you get it, that's up to you. I would much rather have the Eternal Suit, but it does seem fun to use. All right, guys, that's it for today. If you have any questions or tips that you would like to share, please leave a comment below, smash like, and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.